That episode was fucking awesome. Kira, you slimy snake motherfucker. You douchebag. Oh, I'm glad you got your punk ass kicked. But damn it, he had to get away. And he had to get away in the smartest way he could. Everybody in this episode was on top of their game. Like, everyone was just pure badass, contributing to the team, kicking ass, taking names, using their powers in the smartest way possible. Oh, it's like from the beginning of the beginning of the confrontation with Kira and Koichi. Koichi's like, he's getting his ass kicked. Like, he knows that he's basically screwed. He's going to lose. He has both Sheer Heart Attack and Killer Queen are coming at him at the same time. He can't stop both. And despite that, after we got beat the shit up, he was just like, ha, well, I managed to find your name. Your name's Yoshikage Kira. Yeah, sure, you won, you beat me, but at the same time, I found you out. Some stupid little brat found you out, knows your name, figured you out. And if I could do that, any idiot could do that. You're not as cool, as slick as you think you are. And he gets really pissed off and punches him through the gut. Oh, Koichi, you're awesome. Not only did you get his name, which is great, but you also managed to be really badass in your final moments, quote end quote. See, he wasn't actually dead. I mean, he got the Kakuin the Krakuin treatment, but he survived, which is awesome. Good thing too. I mean, if Koichi would die, then everybody would stop calling this Koichi's Bizarre Adventure, and we can't have that. Seriously though, guys, you do realize there's been a majority episodes with Josuke. It's just everybody thinks Koichi's has the most screen time. It's because he's a side character in like half of those episodes. But like the beginning of this episode was awesome, and I know I'm really hyped and I kind of want to talk about the action, but I should get into the beginning of the episode quick, like where it just starts off with Kira trying to move off, but his hand is being dragged down, and he's feeling really humiliated, and he's just going on about like how this is the worst day of his life. Like, he's being caught, people are seeing him humiliated, this stuff drives him insane. And then he's trying to walk away, and like walk away through an alley so he can get back there as soon as possible. And then these thugs start messing with him because not only is he rich, but he's also incapable of moving, and they're going to take advantage of that. And he ends up they end up talking a bunch of shit about him and like grabbing him up and crap, and he blows up their fingers for touching his wallet, and then kind of sulks off towards Caterpillar shoes. It helps you get a little bit more into his head, the way he thinks. Like, he cannot take humiliation of any kind. He cannot take attention, like too much of it, because if he gets too much attention from people, or people start to see him as weak or anything, he gets driven up a wall, and he hates that. And you know what, I can actually kind of understand. I mean, I'm not gonna blow people up and kill people, but at the same time, I do get the anxiety he probably feels around people, especially considering that he even describes himself. He has an uncontrollable urge to like take people's hands and crap, and like though he enjoys it, he also feels like he can't control it. So you feeble peasant type people, you people shouldn't be judging me because it's just a part of me. It's like, no, you're a murderer. Stop it. You need help. Actually, no, you just need to die. You've killed way too many people. Speaking of which, we're gonna get to that a little bit later. But, no, after Koichi had his badass moment, who he's just talking shit to Kira and really getting on his nerves. Like, Kira is like about to leave because he realizes that Koichi probably called help, and the person he called was probably Josuke and Okuyasu because they live closest here, which means Kira knows way more than he's letting on about them. He probably went to some research in those last 4 days, but he mentions that he either called those two or he called Aya, or he either called those two or he called Yukako. And the lady Yukako, the person who hung out with Aya, who went to Aya's place. And, when you think back to the Cinderella episode, you realize that, Kira knows about what was going on with Yukako. He was probably walking around the place and noticed quite a bit about that. He probably even put it together a certain amount. Like, he put it together what was going on, but he just didn't care, and he just kept moving on. But if he remembered that here, it explains his actions a lot more. And, Kira, you son of a bitch. But no, he's got Koichi there, and he, like, throws him to the ground, and is about to leave, and he'd be fine. But then he notices that Koichi has one of his socks inside out. And for some reason, it really bothers him. Like he notices it, and then he just kind of tries to shrug it off, but then he just can't leave, and he turns around, and he's like, he just grabs the sock off, fixes it, and puts it back on, which wastes a pretty decent amount of time doing that. Which tells me, and I think I've heard this before, that Yoshikage Kira is probably obsessive compulsive. Like, if I would have been, like, legitimately OCD, like, he couldn't help it, even though all things are telling him he should just leave. And it would explain a lot of what's going on with him. Like, if he's obsessive compulsive, that explains why he's so methodical about everything, why he makes sure, like, he leaves nothing behind, why he's able to clean up a crime scene so effectively, is because he can't physically take things not being the way he wants them to be, or the way he considers orderly, cleaned up. Like, that's why he's probably also why his stand manifested a power that like obliterates everything, like obliterates all the corpses or any evidence left. It's because he's obsessive. He needs to have everything a certain way, and having something like his socks be out there, or like, not being able to go along with his day-to-day schedule, which is very strict, and it makes sense if he's OCD. It bugs him to the point where he just can't control himself. As well as, like, it just shows how much psychological issues Yoshikage Kira has, which is admirable from a writing standpoint, because a lot of serial killers in, like, anime, or hell, even, like, just, like, cop shows or things like that, or often not get the development to actually, like, the development of the actual psyche that he does. Like, he's a serial killer. If there are probably people outside in the real world who are just like him. Like, I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I kind of I get it. Like, I have anxiety problems too, not to the extent of Kira, to the point where, like, I will kill people, but I don't like when people look down on me and stuff like that. It's just that he takes it to an extreme level, and he's incredibly strict with his schedule, and he just wants to keep doing things the way he does, and for people to just accept that what he's doing is right, which is not true at all. Guy's an asshole, but he makes sense why he's the way he is, and it also makes sense from just like a real serial killer mentality. Like, I'm pretty sure if you actually looked into it, you could find cases of people being like Kira who are serial killers. Like, it doesn't seem like he's any less of a normal person. Like, it doesn't seem like he's any less of a normal serial killer, other than he has powers. Like, if he didn't, he would just be a regular serial killer in any way. Psychotic to the core, but at the same time, it's all because he's incredibly mentally ill. But moving on from that, because another thing that came from his OCD is because he was so focused with Koichi and thinking he would just, fix his socks and leave, fix his socks, blow up Koichi's body, and leave, he forgot about Jotaro, who he just thought was dead. And because he forgot about Jotaro, Jotaro got back up and kicked his goddamn ass. Fit to Stardust Crusaders, which was already awesome in the last episode, but now it was just amazing, because in the last episode, he was going order on sheer heart attack, and it wasn't doing very much to him at all, but when he ended up doing the same thing to, but when he started doing the same thing to Kira, he ain't got those super defenses. He got his ass beat hard. Ugh. And the build-up was awesome. Just all the wisecracks and quips. Like, Jotaro is just like, that's a nice watch. I'm gonna break it so you won't be able to read it ever again. And by it, I mean your face, that is. and then Kira's just like, your stand's not all that strong. Like, it's weak because of your injuries, and I've already experienced. When you punched me, it wasn't all that strong. You're nothing compared to me. I'll kill you real quick. And then all of a sudden, like, what the hell? That was fast as hell. It's like he stopped time, and he probably did, which is amazing. Or he didn't, and he was just that fast, which is also possible. Which tells me, like, the way he talked to Jotaro, like, he was like, you're a very interesting fellow. He probably looked into Josuke and Okuyasu and into Koichi and Aya, but he and Yukako as well, but he probably didn't know about Jotaro, and that's what put him in such a bad spot. He underestimated hard, and he got his ass beat. Like, Jotaro beats the shit out of him. At one point, he has him down on the floor, looks at his watch, and just like, when I think about it, it's actually a pretty shitty watch after all. It's a pretty ugly watch. Too bad good thing when I'm done with you, your face will be even more ugly. He beats the fucking shit out of him, launches him flying, and knocks him out. And then he passes out himself. Not before saying to Koichi, he's like, you've matured a lot, Koichi. You beat him psychologically. And it's like, Jotaro, stop being so badass. And by that I mean continue to be that badass. I love Jotaro in this season. I like him probably, like, at his high points. Like, in this episode, I like him better than I did in Stardust Crusaders, because he just has more. He's more of a leader, or like a role model figure to all the other characters. He's matured a lot. He's become smarter, but he's still got that badass edge to him. Like, you don't fuck with Jotaro Kujo, and you never fuck with Jotaro Kujo. And it's awesome to see him in full form. You don't know how much I was screaming. The adrenaline pumping was just out of this world. That was awesome. And then you just see somebody waking up, and it's Kira. And from his perspective, he's now seeing Josuke and Okuyasu, who met up with Josuke on the way by. I guess Josuke just stopped by Okuyasu's house and was like, Okuyasu, we need you, or something. He's like, Koichi and Jotaro's in danger, come with me. Which was smart on his part. And Josuke was being super smart in this episode. He didn't play any games. Oh, man. Like, so he got backup for one. He took a shortcut so he can get there faster. He healed Jotaro and Koichi before he ended up going to Yoshikage. And Yoshikage, also being very smart, decided to play it off like he was just one of the victims of the killer. Because Koichi and Jotaro weren't up yet. They weren't fully healed. They were being healed in the background. And so Kira was like, he was just like, oh god, please, somebody blew up Centipede Shoes. That person went off there. If the owner is dead, and like, I need help. Somebody get me medical attention. He was playing the victim. And honestly, the way he acted, I could honestly believe him. Like, he did sound like a victim, and considering the fact that considering the fact that Kira like would have been damaged from the fight, he probably escaped. He probably would have escaped and ended up hurting this person too. It's not out of the field that somebody else was there and got hurt. But at the same time, Josuke is suspicious of him, or at least he doesn't let it on. He acts like, oh, well, in that case, let me help you out. And then Kira, apparently he noticed Crazy Diamond healing Jotaro and Koichi, and so he's just like, oh god, I think my rib is punctured my lungs. Please heal me up. And then Josuke's just like, oh, heal you up, huh? What, do I look like a doctor to you? Do I look like a doctor to you? I'm a teenager. I'm barely in high school. I'd have a problem getting into a pachinko parlor, much less being mistaken for a doctor with a PhD. And he's just like, yeah, you fell for my trap, huh, bitch? I know, you're no victim, you're the killer, huh? And he's just like, oh shit, you fell right into my trap, bitch. You got hasty and you saw my saw my Crazy Diamond. And thought, oh, I can get healed, huh? And then Kira's like, shit, I got hasty. Fuck. And Josuke was about to beat his goddamn ass down, but Kira also pulled a very brilliant move with that. And that is, he had Killer Queen cut off his hand. I don't, what was it, his right or left hand? Whichever hand had sheer heart attack in it. He cut it off, and then he escaped. And when he cut it off, sheer heart attack went free, and it started to attack Josuke. And because he was able to distract them with sheer heart attack, he runs off, abandoning his hand as a way to basically keep them distracted. But because he also cut his hand off, if Koichi got back up and, tried to use freeze on it, he wouldn't be hindered anymore. But Josuke, in response to this, actually does something pretty smart. Jotaro's like, don't fight sheer heart attack. It's way too defensive, and it gets powerful and explodes depending on your body heat. But Josuke, he punches it up, and it looks like he's trying to attack it. Sheer heart attack's damage, it starts to heal back, and then it returns back to Kira's hand, and it starts to heal and goes flying back towards Kira. And so Josuke uses his injury, his scapegoat method, as a way to track Kira by following his hand back to his body, which was ingenious and amazingly intelligent from Josuke. And so Josuke and the crew start to follow him, and while they're following him, Koichi goes out of his way to be like, okay, this guy's Yoshikage Kira. I saw his ID. He lives in this part of town, and he does this, that, and the other. And it's just like, shit. Oh, Kira's at the end of his ropes, right? Well, wrong. Apparently the hand led them into Cinderella. And when they get into Cinderella, they see Aya Sujin horribly injured, and this other guy who looks like a naked Kira who's dead is just like sitting there. But it turns out that wasn't actually Kira. What he had Aya do is that he had her switch. He brought that guy in there and then had her switch his face with that other guy's face, so that he'd end up looking like a totally different person. And then he booby-trapped her body. So when Josuke and them are being distracted by Aya and trying to get like his new information out of him, and like about to heal him up, Jotaro's like, no, don't heal her. You have to follow the hand. And then basically Killer Queen blows him up, blows up Sujin, and now she's gone. She died right there, right then. Another character died because of Killer Queen, and and not just that, but because because he ran out into an open street, and the hand kind of got away from them because they're distracted by the explosion and by Sujin being killed and that other body there. They got caught off guard by all of that. The hand managed to escape them as well, so they couldn't quite track it. But even Okuyasu showed, going back to the bomb, even Okuyasu showed off that he was pretty useful, using the hand as a way to like mitigate the explosion's effects by erasing the space in there, therefore erasing the force that's being exerted by the explosion. They still go launching back, but it's like probably half of that explosion hit them, like because the rest just got evaporated, which is awesome. Again, Kira now escaped, and he has a totally different face, and he's taken on a totally different identity, and now they have no way of finding him. Well, at least he can't do that same shit again because Ai is dead, but at the same time, now they gotta track him down all over again, and he has literally no more clues left. I mean, he probably destroyed his old clothes, and because his old identity's basically gone, they have no way of knowing who he is. I mean, other than maybe his hair, but like he's probably gonna dye it someplace, something else, or like style it some other way. Yoshikage Kira's gone for now, but we tried our best and we almost had him, and that's what counts. Yeah, but god damn it, Kira. I can't wait till we find your ass again and kick it into next week. I can't wait for that. That was so satisfying. This episode was amazing. Incredible. Probably my favorite episode of the season, if not of the entire series. And it's up there. Like, I don't know if I put it... Actually, no. I put it in my top episodes, but I don't have, like, a full list out ready yet. And I probably won't until, like we catch up to the manga when it comes to the anime. And that's going to be quite a bit of time. Like, we still have the rest of this part and then 4 more parts, which, I mean, part 8's probably going to be done by the end of, by the time we've caught up with part 7, so, part 9 will probably be in development, or part 10 or something, if it will be a part 9 and 10, you never know. Actually, I kind of wonder, will they end up doing the JoJo's novel in the anime? Who knows, maybe. I mean, JoJo's been successful, so I wouldn't see why not. But anyways, I digress. I'm getting off topic. This episode was incredible, one of my best. Recommend it, but, if you're already watching this, you've already seen it. Just kind of looking for my thoughts on it, right? But anyways, I hope you guys all have a good day. Hope you guys all enjoyed that fucking awesome episode. And have a nice day.